Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Superintendent Effect, the podcast where we highlight strong leaders building strong communities. I'm Ann Brown, President and CEO of the Cook Center for Human Connection, and I'm so excited today to be joined by Dr. Joel Bailey, who is the Superintendent of Platte School District in South Dakota. Welcome, Joel.
Thanks, Sam. Happy to be here.
I'm
Happy to chat with you.
well. I'm so happy you're here. Tell us a little bit about Platte Geddes.
Yeah. So we are a consolidated school district, two communities. Platte has about 1,300 people, and the Geddes has 250. School district of 524 students this year. We're also unique across the country, but not so much in South Dakota, where we have two Hutterite Colony schools. So those are K elementary schools. South Central South Dakota, located just 14 miles from the Missouri River, so very much egg-based communities. We bring in a lot of out-of-state hunters during pheasant season, and then the summers are packed with fishermen.
Oh, wow. Okay. Tell me about the Hutterite community. That's not one I've heard much about.
Yeah, so think Amish,
Okay.
but very technologically advanced when it comes to the agriculture side of things. So they are using the most advanced technology when it comes to farming, the GPS, all of those things. But they're part of our school district. We are allowed to use computers there, but they don't have computers in the no TVs or anything like that in the home.
Okay.
The school it's a K8 elementary, and we have a law in place that they are only required to go to school through eighth grade. So we have to pack a lot in that small amount of time. Just the most ingenious people you've ever seen. They can read a manual and figure out how to build something, make something work. Fascinating, and I always say that they don't have the pull of social media and things like that. So you will not find a group of more avid readers. Those kids love reading. That is kind of their source of entertainment. And in town schools, we're typically telling them you don't have anything to do, maybe take out a book.
Yeah.
We're telling the kids to put the books away
Now,
because they just get so engaged. Yeah, it's very cool.
well, that's exciting. It's exciting to hear about the technology that they're using and bringing to agriculture. What's the crop? What are the crops?
Primarily soybeans, corn. They'll do wheat. They'll also have some other things. Some of them get very niche in their markets. Our one colony has a precast concrete plant, state of the art, built their own.
Okay.
So that's kind of how they supplement their farm income. Another neighboring colony, they build floor trusses, and they're just huge.
Okay.
Chichintashins, they'll have large feedlots or turkey barn.
Okay.
Everything you can think of agriculture that relates to South Dakota is there.
Okay. And then they're very family oriented, probably. Yeah.
You don't find better family engagement than at a colony. So because they just are so structured, and then when it's time for something a little different, like a fall fling festival or a science fair, it's very well attended, and grandmas and grandpas are coming, and our Christmas concerts are always well attended and very fun.
Well, it's amazing to hear about all of the different cultures and communities in the United States, and that kind of brings me to the point of why I'm even doing this podcast is, every child in this country has a right to education, as I know you know, but I like our viewers or our listeners to understand that no matter what nook and cranny you live in this country, there is a superintendent like you who's over a child's right to an education to ensure that children take advantage of that right, have that right. And even if you're a homeschooler or a private schooler or whatever that is, it's still your job to make sure that those children are receiving an education. So mom and dad of a homeschooler still have to come to you and say, I will be homeschooling my child. Right? Is that
Yes, yes, very much so. In South Dakota, it's pretty wide open, but when it comes to the homeschool, it's yeah, they fill out a online alternative instruction form, and that's it. That's the accountability level they have there.
but that's saved by your district. I mean, it's saved by you. You take care of that.
We track it
Yeah.
right onto the state. One other thing I have to mention about the Hutterites, I'm still the elementary principal at our two colony schools. That's how I started my career at Platte Geddes, and when I moved to the superintendent position, I asked to keep it because I just established such a great relationship. But their language is, so they speak Hutterite, and it's not written. So it's a language you could only learn through immersion, and it's a combination of English, Russian, and Welsh.
Oh, wow.
And then they have German school before what we call English school. So the regular school day is 8 to 3, but before they go to the regular school day with us, they go to German school where they're learning the Bible in German, High German, and that's where their Bibles and the songs they sing are in. So actually, when they come to us, they're considered English learners
Oh.
because English is not their first language. Uh, but so they're speaking this Hutterish language, they're speaking High German, and then they're actually, once they master the English language, they're almost trilingual.
Wow. Oh. And where are you in that? What can you speak?
Very little, very little. I'm English, and
Yeah.
sometimes that's not very, I don't speak that very well either. So, yeah.
Well, Joel, I'm so happy to have you on this program too, because you were really one of the first people that I reached out to and said, "Hey, we have this idea at the Cook Center. We really want to support parents. Do you think that's something that schools need?" And you were very encouraging of that. Can you talk a little bit about what your first thoughts were there?
Absolutely. And I was so glad you reached out. We were just coming off of the COVID pandemic, and knowing that the kids were just at home and that level of loneliness, a cell phone, they feel connected, but that's not really connected.
Yeah,
And and we knew we had kids struggling, and, being in our district, we have some phenomenal school counselors, but the parent side of things, well, they just didn't know how to maneuver the problems their kids were dealing with. And so I reached out to you, and you shared some information about Dr. Skinner, which has just been a godsend for us. It's comforting to know that we have a program for options for our parents that can really help them, because parenting's really hard.
it is hard.
And being able to admit that you need help or you don't have the answers is some of the biggest problems. And
Yeah.
just to be able to provide that information and support for those students has just been phenomenal.
Well, and you asked me an important question after we got started that actually turned into one of the most important components of parent guidance. We started with just the parent guidance courses and made those available to anyone in the country at no cost. And then another colleague of yours from Montana called up one day and said, "Could you do a seminar for our parents?" And so that turned into a piece of parent guidance called the Mental Health Series, where we have 4 nights a week of facilitated talks on mental health that are topically driven. But you called me and you said, "Hey, I can't find a school psychologist up here, and we are so far away from a psychiatrist. Could Dr. Skinner could be our therapist?" So for those of you who don't know, Dr. Skinner is our clinical director here at the Cook Center, and he is a practicing licensed marriage and family therapist. So I believe you'd talked to him and we'd had some conversations. And so you called me and said, "Could Dr. Skinner be our therapist up here? Because I can't find one." And you said, "It's not that I don't have the money. We have the money. We just can't find somebody that will come and be here." So I didn't know anything. So I called Dr. Skinner and said, "Hey, can you do this?" And actually, it won't work because of state lines. You can't be a therapist over state lines. And then, even then, and this may still be the law, when you're performing therapy, you have to do it in the same state as the person that you're doing the therapy for. So there were all these barriers. But Dr. Skinner said, "But we could provide coaches." And so coaching has become one of the gold standard things we do at Cook Center, where any school district can have a subscription to coaching so that any family in their district can get up to 30 minutes a day of coaching, or 30 minutes a week, sorry. And truth be told, if they need more, our coaches will work with them. It's not, but that's our expectation, is 30 minutes a week. And it was because of that phone call. And I talk about that all over the country. I say, "My friend from South Dakota called me and it's you." So,
That's great.
that phone call has provided so much goodness in the world. And as a matter of fact, you don't know this, so hopefully I'm not going to make you cry, but I want you to hear this story, because that phone call made this story happen. We found out on January 12th that a mother reached out to her coach and said, "I lost my battle with life today. I've taken a lot of meds. Thank you for being so kind to me in a cruel world." And when she did that, we had an activation plan, and we knew what to do in that case. And so our coaches and our leadership and our therapy group activated. We were able to get medical assistance to the parent. We were able to get her to a hospital. and a kid's got her parent today because of having this coaching available. And none of us, we wanted parents to be able to help their kids. That's our goal of parent guidance. But in reality, we were able to save this parent. And then I think, well, there's nothing that's going to help a child more than to have their parent available to them. So we're so proud of that. And I hadn't told you that story until right now. But when you trace it back, all the things that had to happen for that to happen, you were the spark. You were the one right there that said, "Hey, how can you help in this problem?" So
Wow. That's thank you for sharing that with me. I maybe should have gave I get a little choked up. I maybe should have me heads up on that one, but
I know. I'm sorry.
still makes sense. Like, and the work you guys do is just in that level of support because again, like I said, we have two phenomenal school counselors, but it's the world is ugly and kids struggle so much and just having that level of support, going back to the parents not knowing, this is uncharted territory and dealing with mental health and those things and just being able to provide some resources and even maybe even just as they're they can read similar cases or on knowing that they're not alone
Yeah.
in fighting these battles, and one of the things that I just wrapped up, I did a school and community book study, partnered with our ministerial association in town, allowed the staff from Brookings to join, over the Anxious Generation book by Jonathan Haidt.
Yeah.
And that book, if any of you haven't read it, and you have children or even if grandchildren, it is just, well, it's alarmist. And just thinking about the work you guys do and then what our kids are facing with the like social media and all of the things uh for you guys to be able to provide that resource. And I wanted to be able to provide that understanding for parents and our community members of the battles that we're not maybe realizing kids are facing with that solo. There's no separation from it.
Right.
And the book says since 2012, the mental health is not only girls but boys. So it's just take a rapid decline.
Yeah.
It's tied to a couple of factors beyond just phones, like overprotected parenting and those things, but really that is the crux of the problem. And just to try and share that message with parents and let them know. And I will be honest, my oldest son is a sophomore in college, my youngest is a senior. I failed them as they were growing up because I didn't put a lot of barriers on the cell phone use. Fortunately, we came through it mostly unscathed. But thinking about having this daughter and where everything is filtered and everything they're seeing is a perfect product, it's been edited, and then they look themselves in the mirror and want to know why they don't look like that or even their own filtered features, and they look it's takes such a toll on your mental health and their self-worth. And so just trying to educate parents on that and figure out a way to combat that. And I share a message with KFC. It's just the beginning of every year. Uh and the gym and their, first day of school. And, they're not, well, there was a little bit of excitement because they maybe got a new fresh fit on or something from first day of school. But it's every kid in the school has value and you belong here. And comparison of what you're comparing to yourself that you see on social media, that's a thief of joy, is just reiterating that message and making sure they know that we are here, we're going to love and we're going to serve you. Whether you're a 4.0 student or you struggle academically or you're a star on the playing field or you're on the stage leading our play, like you bring such important value and just reminding people of that. And if they're not feeling that value, that's what we're here for. We're here
Yeah.
to help them see it and achieve it. So, yeah.
Well, it's so important. And Anxious Generation really is must read for every parent in America, every parent probably in the world. And for you to lead that as book study, I mean, that really shows the care that you have for your community and thinking about these kids. And I love that message. We work with a gentleman who does some inspirational assemblies for schools. And one of the things he does that made me think about your message at the beginning of the year is he takes a $10 bill and he scrunches it all up and he steps on it and he pours coffee on it and he like does all these things to it. And then he says, "Who wants it?" And every hand in the place goes up and they're like, "I want it, I want it." And he said, "Well, why would you want this? It's been stepped on, it's been scrunched, it's been, things have been spilled on it. It's had this terrible experience. Why would you want it? And every kid's like, because it has value. And you're like, yes, you are a 10 too. So
Steal
yeah, I hope you do. That's why I'm telling it to you. I hope the podcast universe steals it. It's just such a message because kids understand that, right? That $10 always has value. Well, guess what? You always have value no matter what's happened to you.
See, we often talk about as a staff, like it's that invisible backpack,
Yeah.
and we remind the kids we don't know what if anybody is carrying there near you. We don't know everything that this is about that. So we have to always be cognizant of that. And snap too, like if a kid is acting out, a lot of times they ask for love in the most unloving ways,
Right.
and just trying to get to the root of okay, what is driving this behavior. Yes, and when we're working with that child, being mindful of those things. And that's a message that we have to take as well, right? It's like as adults,
Yeah.
treat other people. And we model what our kids are seeing and just sharing that message and just trying to instill that great character in people, the empathy. I think that can get you so far in life, and then the rewards
Yeah.
are tremendous.
The invisible backpack is that is a great metaphor. That's not one I'd heard before. I love that.
I'm sure I sold that for some ways.
Hey, tell me about your path to the superintendency. What have your stops been? And actually, start with this though. When and how did you decide you wanted to be in education?
It's I don't have this interesting story, but I was a jock.
Uh-huh.
So I guess I played all the sports, and I just connected really like well with my coaches who are also our teachers. So as I was trying to decide as a 17, 18-year-old kid what I wanted to major in college, I was reading an article and ER nurses, I really like science. ER nursing was making like $95,000. And I'm like, that's the way to help people. It's the science side of things. Like, that's great. So I went to college. My major was nursing. After like the first semester, I was also playing football and had to study a lot. And I'm like, I don't like this is just not what I want to be. And I've always saw myself as a teacher and a coach, saw my being a basketball coach, my boy shooting baskets on the side, his practices going. And so after my first semester, I decided to go into teaching. In elementary, for some reason I really connect well with the younger kids. So went and finished my degree. My first teaching job was actually on the Crow Creek Indian Reservation,
Oh wow.
um, in Fort Thompson. I graduated in December, so I was either going to sub or and this job came open. And where I grew up, we also had a reservation, and so I went out there for an interview, and they hired me on the spot. Started in the second semester, and then after that, I would have happily stayed. I got engaged at the time, and fiance was near Sioux Falls, so I got hired in the T area school district, which is now one of the biggest in the states. Is when it started, they had just split off from the Lennox school district. They had 9 graduates. That's about year,
Wow.
and now they're one of our largest schools in the states.
Really? Wow.
22 years later. So I taught fourth grade there and then moved up to the middle school and taught just about everything and driver's ed. So
That's brave.
that's where
That's
the
brave.
care came from. Yeah. And then as a middle school teacher, I was like, you know what? I really like to get into the administration. And so went through and got my master's degree and got hired at Flat Gaddis as an elementary principal. I did that for 2 years, and we had to turn over in the superintendent position. And fortunately, they saw something in me and asked me that I would take over as the superintendent. And so my first year, I did both superintendent and elementary principal. And then the next year, I just was very honest and said I was hard to do justice to both of these positions. So since then, I've been for the past 13 years, been the superintendent and then the elementary principal at two poly schools.
Oh wow.
But it really was those coaches and those teachers that really had such a profound impact on my life, and that just made me know that this is what I wanted to do.
Wow. And how many years have you been a superintendent?
This is my 13th year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was lucky. I started out relatively young, just over 30 when I started, and yeah, it's gone well, and such an
Well,
important job.
yeah. Well, congratulations for all the work you're doing there.
Oh, thanks.
So you've been in 13 years. What would be some advice that you'd give to a new superintendent who is coming in?
Ask for help. That's what I love about like being an educator. There's such a support system that you're willing to reach out and ask questions and ask for advice. And I've been lucky enough to mentor a couple new superintendents, and honestly, like I learned as much from them as that I've taught them, and we has developed great relationships, and that's that person to bounce ideas off of. And also, my significant other is a superintendent in the Brookings School District, way smarter than me. So, like, literally, I have somebody say that is to tell me that's a terrible idea or a good look.
That really understands what she's saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's just leaning on those people and don't being afraid to ask you help. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
So and just never forget why we're here, right? Like I feel like we have a get to job, not a got to job.
Oh, I love that. We get to do this.
That's
Yeah.
stuff from Ernie Johnson on a TNT basketball. He showed a video where he spoke to the Alabama football team, but he said, "I have a get to job, not a got to job," and I think that's what we all want in life, right? Get to go to work every day, get to work with these kids, you need to impact lives. Uh, yeah, so just very fortunate. And but back to your question, I kind of always knew that I was, even though I tried to go a different route from education, I just knew that's how that passion was.
What's something people don't know about you?
Ooh, I can juggle.
Oh,
That's really about the extent of my talents. I grew up on a ranch, small ranch, small town, South Dakota.
well, I love the juggling. I love the ranch too. I grew up on a cattle and sheep ranch too, but I love the juggling. Someday I'm gonna make you prove that to me.
Well, so it's fun. Like if I go into lunch with the elementary, and if a kid has some Smartie oranges,
Yeah.
3 of them, yeah, I'll
You can do it.
and yeah,
That is
that's kind of cool. I'm a avid dad joker, so I'm very lazy. Say,
You got one for us before we go?
do you want to hear my joke of a piece?
Sure.
It's too cheesy.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for making me realize that I have a get to job as well, and you have a get to job. And thank you for being a strong leader, building a strong community. And thanks for joining us today. It was awesome.
Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for all of you.
Oh, thanks.